Hi, my name is Steve Bordenkecker, and I'm going to be doing the first module of the Quality Assurance and Quality Improvement section. The first thing I want to talk about is the role of the QA/QI unit. There are 5 people that work in the QA/QI unit, and our main role is to assure that the safety and well-being of the individuals receiving waiver services is being met in a cost-effective and efficient manner. So we'll only be talking about the waiver programs administered by the Division of Aging in this section. The Division of Aging QA/QI unit implements the following activities: quality monitoring, which is mostly over providers, and case managers are considered providers also; incident reporting, complaint resolution, mortality review, and the quality improvement strategy, which we refer to as the QIS. The Division of Aging develops the policies and procedures that all providers, including case managers, must follow. The QA unit works to assure that those rules, along with administrative code and all of the policies and procedures which come down from those, are followed. Our providers are also held to the federally approved waiver documents for the A&D and TBI waivers, and to the provider agreements which they sign. The case manager is a very critical part to the QA process. Specifically, some of the things that you do that we recognize: you make sure that each individual has a service plan. You have face-to-face contacts with the participant at least every 90 days. So you're kind of our eyes and ears for quality issues. You assure that services are provided in accordance with the approved service plan. You create backup plans to deal with emergency situations and when staff don't show up. You intervene with providers to resolve problems as needed. You report to the Division of Aging through incident reporting. And you report to APS or CPS when there are incidents of abuse, neglect, or exploitation. You may also contact the long-term care ombudsman when that's needed. The long-term care ombudsman deals with individuals who are in adult family care and assisted living facilities. In this training, we're going to review policy, standards, and procedures for incident reporting, mortality review, provider monitoring, complaints, and QIS. First thing we're going to talk about is quality monitoring and participant satisfaction. The Division of Aging QA unit conducts 3 types of quality reviews. The first is the provider compliance review. Then there's the person-centered compliance review, and the participant experience surveys. All of these reviews are part of the CMS quality strategy for the state of Indiana. Provider compliance reviews are conducted every 3 years for all waiver providers that are not licensed by ISDH, the Indiana State Department of Health. We also conduct these reviews for licensed providers who are providing services which do not require a license. Some examples of that: you might have a home health agency that's also providing a home delivery meal service or a personal emergency response service. So we would review them even though they're licensed. Most of the reviews are conducted through desk reviews, but the exceptions to that are adult family care services and adult day services, and those reviews are conducted on site. We actually go and visit the site because for those services, the building and the physical facility is very important to service delivery. It's important to note that for really all of our reviews, actually I take that back, not including the PES or the personal experience survey, but the provider compliance review and the person-centered reviews, when there's a citation, a corrective action plan is required. So, and that is for every type of citation that's given in those 2 types of reviews. The corrective action plan for both reviews is basically the provider is responsible for developing the corrective action plan, which we usually refer to as a CAP. And then the Division of Aging or their representative basically says, yes, that CAP is acceptable, or no, it's not. And once we're informed that the corrective action plan has been implemented, it's then verified by the reviewer to make sure that it was actually completed. What we're looking for in a provider compliance review. It's very much policy and procedure driven. So we make sure that the policies and procedures that are required by the rule and waiver are in place. Does the provider's policies and procedures match up with the requirements of Indiana Administrative Code 455-2, the waiver, and the signed provider agreement? Then we look for evidence that those policies and procedures are actually being followed. A few examples that we'll see frequently. The provider may not be conducting a customer satisfaction survey as is required under the rule. And then beyond that, they're required to implement changes based on those results. They frequently will not have a criminal history background check for new employees. We also look for documentation that TB tests have been conducted and that their insurance requirements have been met. For the person-centered compliance review, it's very focused on one person. The sample person or sample people are drawn to get a statistically significant random sample of consumers weighted by the Area Agency on Aging service population. And what that amounts to is for the A&D waiver, we will review about 185 people each year, and for the TBI waiver, approximately 90 people each year. The reviews are focused on person-centered principles and the requirements of the waiver, the aging rule, and provider agreements, and how these are implemented at the individual level. So we're not reviewing policies and procedures. We're only reviewing to see that the policies and procedures of the provider are being carried out for that one person. Now, these types of reviews are not conducted by state staff, but rather by our QA contractor at Advocare Quality. Something I'd like to point out about all of our reviews is that the tools for those are online, and the web address is here on the screen. You might take a look at those. We don't want there to be any surprises when a reviewer shows up. All of the tools are right there, so you should have a look at those, especially for the one specifically for case management, but for the person-centered compliance reviews, because case managers are involved in all of those reviews. What we look for in a person-centered compliance review. We're looking to see that individuals are assessed according to the requirements for level of care and 90-day reviews by the case manager. At those things, in those reviews, we're looking for timeliness and accuracy. Were the 90-day reviews actually completed every 90 days? Was the level of care done timely every 6 months? We look to see that service plans are developed based on assessments, and that those plans are updated when indicated by the assessment. We look to see that the service plans incorporate the individual's needs, wants, and desires. That services are provided based on the service plan. So in this part, we're looking at the providers, their records, to make sure they're actually showing up and doing the work. And we're looking to see that health, safety, and welfare supports are provided. Additional things, we're looking for the documentation, actually, that the client has signed and that the provider has signed, and that they've basically identified for the time they're in the home what they were doing. We're looking for freedom of choice forms that have been signed by the consumer. So that's a case manager responsibility. We're looking to see that the case manager is actively working to coordinate services. They're talking with the consumer and with the provider to make sure that the provider knows what the client's needs are, the client's able to express those needs, and that the case manager is involved in that process. We're also looking for the response to problems and incidents. Specifically, where incident reporting requirements met. There will be more on and in Module 2 regarding incident reporting. But when other problems come up, is the case manager involved in resolving those? Again, citations result in a corrective action plan process, which allows the provider or the case manager to design a plan to achieve compliance. Usually in the CAP process, you're kind of given 2 chances to submit a successful corrective action plan. And again, all plans are verified once they have been approved and implemented. Participant experience surveys are a bit different. The PES is administered at the same time as the person-centered compliance review. So the people chosen for the PES are the same ones chosen for the person-centered review. This is strictly a survey to assess satisfaction and quality of life factors. There really aren't any provider or case manager assessments that come out of this. Assessment's probably not the right word. There are no citations that come out of this. It's basically strictly, are the client's needs being met? There are approximately 70 questions in each review, so there's quite a bit there. But they are assessing whether or not the person's needs are being met for meals, bathing, transportation, access to the community, and basically that their choices and their life is being managed in a way that they're happy with. Usually the case manager does sit on these, but that is up to the person being surveyed. These are generally conducted face-to-face. In rare occasions, they might be done over the phone. If the person's in the hospital or in another situation, but generally these are done face-to-face. There are 3 separate tools, one for the elderly and disabled, one for adults with traumatic brain injury, and one for children also. Again, the participant experience survey does not result in citations, but it may point the reviewer to look more in depth for things that come up as they conduct the person-centered compliance review. And that is the end of the first module. Thank you.